Hi there, my name is Will. Welcome to photographyquestions.com. In this video I'm going to spend 5 to 10 minutes talking to you about the lens corrections option in Adobe Lightroom 5's develop settings. So here we have our image. Yes, another bird. This one is a tui, native bird to New Zealand. And I've chosen this one particularly because we've got a couple of lens defects that need fixing here. Predominantly chromatic aberration, which you can see here outlining the bird's tail and the branch there, this purple line, which happens even in some of the better lenses, but more so in lower end lenses. This particular one was shot with a 300 f4 non-image stabilized lens. So moving into our lens correction settings over here, we've got a few different options under a few different tabs. We'll just go through each one by one. Now, on our basic settings here, these particular ones affect these other tabs. I'm not quite sure why they've done it this way, but if I tick this enable profile corrections and we go to profile, it's now selected here. Again, if I unselect that, remove chromatic aberration, go over to color, that's all selected there, so I'm not quite sure why they've done that. And Constrain Crop is for the last one there, which I'll touch on briefly. I did touch on that as well when I went through the crop section in an earlier video. This little part here, I, to be honest, have never used myself. It says that resets crop and perspective correction settings. Again, I've never had to use this. Perspective and crop settings are all done through this one here, the manual transform, where you can adjust, we might as well go through these while we're here. Distortion, so we can blow it up or pull it out. The Constrain Crop part here, I'll go over again. I did touch on this briefly. If I alter my crop a little bit here, so our image is just slightly smaller than the original, and I then do a drastic distortion, we'll see that we get a lot of white coming into the image. Now this obviously is rather drastic, but it's just to illustrate this. If I then click on Constrain Crop, it will constrain the image to within the available image area to make sure that we don't have any of this white border. So that's basically all that does to the image. Moving down, we have a vertical adjustment here, horizontal. We can rotate and scale, and an aspect adjustment there too. Again, most of these I never use, to be honest. Sometimes the distortion, vertical and horizontal, that'd probably be the main three that I would ever use in this particular section, and that would particularly be for say if I'm using a wide angle lens, you get far more distortion, which you may want to correct. You could be photographing say for example some architecture where you may want to adjust your vertical and horizontal lines. That would be pretty much all I would use that for personally. Rotate, I generally do when I'm cropping. You know, I just adjust that when I'm doing my crop. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Moving down, we've got lens vignetting here. Some lenses do have a bit of vignetting. Some of the wider lenses can have that, and this is just a way you can can adjust that. As we see, if we move that all the way to plus 100 there, and then minus 100, we start to get the darkness coming around in the corners there. It's probably more prevalent if I move this crop back out. So there we can see. And actually I did forget we have a midpoint here, so we can change the midpoint of that vignette. This is particularly good if you want to either create a vignette on your image, which some people do like to do, or if you want to remove some vignetting, you can just brighten up those corners a wee bit. Pretty handy. Going back here, we have a profile section here. Now here you can enable profile corrections for a specific lens. So we can go in here and select from a number of different manufacturers, and then we can select the particular model. I don't believe the one I have is actually in here, but we'll choose the closest available option, and it will then choose a profile for that lens. And you can see that that does very little for this image, particularly probably because it is a telephoto. It doesn't have that much distortion. You'll find with wider angles there may be a bit more of a difference in your lens profile, but again, I don't often bother with that. It just takes more time. And here we've got a distortion slider as well, which is quite a gradual one, and another vignette slider for that particular profile. So obviously there's more than one way to do different things. Lens vignetting there, vignetting again down there. So we'll just leave that off for now. Moving on, this is probably the one that you will use the most and is a very useful tool within Lightroom. It's the Remove Chromatic Aberration tool here. Now if I zoom into our image, we can immediately see the nasty purple blue line around the bird there and around the twig, and I purposely chose this particular image because I knew it would have some chromatic aberration. Quite often when you have highlights in the back like that against a dark area, you'll get some of that. And it's often purpley blue, but as you can see just here and along here, there is on the green side of things as well. Oops. So we'll just go through and adjust that. Now you can see here we have some amount sliders and hue sliders as well. So zooming in here, if we begin to increase our amount, you'll begin to see immediately that the purple is disappearing. We've still got a wee bit here, so we can continue to climb that up a little bit, and that's pretty much all gone around the 10, and we can just slide around and see what that's done. And that's, sorry if I'm making you sick by doing that, that's making that look a bit better already, and we can just see the difference there by turning that off and on. Even down along these ones here we've got some, and that disappears quite nicely. So if we move into the green now, we can zoom in and we can find there's quite a bit through here. So if we increase the green, with this one we'll find that we're moving it all the way up, and we're not actually seeing too much variation in these, and that is because of this hue slider here. Now this works for the purple as well, but we didn't need to touch that because it is set a little wider here. What we want to do is we want to adjust this so it's picking up that particular hue. You can also select certain colors here using the fringe color selector by clicking that and clicking on in here, finding a particular pixel, click on that, and as you can see it's disappeared. it's actually shunted that hue selected down. As you can see there, it's automatically done that for us. That works pretty well. But what you will see, here's a good example here. What you'll see here is it's actually taken some color from the edge of our leaf here. Now that's one thing you want to be careful with removing chromatic aberration. You don't want to remove too much of the actual colors from your image, so it's a balancing act like many things. Again, turning it off and turning it back on will give you a good idea as to how much you're removing. And it's probably not too bad of a balance. So one more time, turn it off and turn it back on, and that just makes your image look a lot cleaner, removes that nasty aberration there. So that's looking pretty good, and that's about it for lens corrections. Just recapping again, that would be the one I'd use the most, removing the chromatic aberration. Occasionally these transform sliders. My brain's not quite with me today. And the vignetting down here if I need to correct that. That is about it for that one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that and learnt something. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them below the video, or pop over to photographyquestions.com and ask them there. And yeah, if you're looking at getting Lightroom at any stage, I'd recommend it. It's a fantastic program, and we have an affiliate link on our website, and if you click through there, that just helps us out on your way to getting this fine product. So thanks very much again, and stay tuned for the next video. See ya.